Okay, I'm James. I'm from Hull. I was a cub and a scout at Wellington St Matthews Scout Group. I've now got children in Wellington St Matthews Beavers and Cub Group, and this is my 60-second scouter.
How long were you in scouting?
I was actually a beaver and the Road Methodist group, and I moved to Wellington and I stayed there all the way through till being about 17, so do the maths, 8, 9 years.
What is the funniest thing you've seen in Scouts?
Funniest thing I've seen in Scouts is probably, we did write a song about Brimmy the Blue-Nosed Badger, but then we got in trouble because he didn't like it.
Can you tie a reef knot?
I can do all four. Okay, left over right and under. Right over left, and under. Reef knot, okay. But then, you know the old trick, don't you, about if that's the other way around. With the ends, at the other ends, that is a thief knot. You know the story. If you're a sailor on a ship and you tied your bag and you think someone's nicking your stuff, then you tie one of them knots, and then when you come back in the morning and you've got a reef knot, and because they did it in the dark and they didn't know, then you know you've got a thief, so it's called a thief knot. You've never heard of that one? And then the other one is, as you know, you do your left over right and under, and then you go the wrong way around. Oh no, disaster, granny knot. And then the other one, which I will never ever ever get right, is you do that, but the other way around, and that's a grief knot.
What is the highest award you had as a scout?
Highest award I had as a scout? I got fairly close to the oldie worldy gold Chief Scouty one, but I was missing a bit. So sad.
My question is, how do you get more adults into scouting?
How do you get more adults into anything? Abolish jobs? Yeah, it's time, isn't it? Finding the time. I volunteer not with Scouts but with a number of other things, and I just find the hardest part is the time. I think people would need to know that you're going to respect their time. People would want to know that whatever they had to offer, you were going to make use of it. I think people find it difficult if you say come along and then you're there for an evening and you don't really get to contribute what you could contribute because you're not one of the regular people and you feel like you're not really being used, and then you think, well, I'll go somewhere else and be used somewhere else. Okay, next.
How is Cubs different from when you were doing it to now?
Cubs different? Oh, well, in some ways it's very the same, actually. The badges and the uniforms have changed, but the general kind of kids turn up and they run around a lot and there's lots of noise and screaming, and they must be doing some kind of fun that I must have understood at the time. That's all very the same. The activities are largely the same. There's obviously a few new things out there, particularly things like these trampoline parks, newfangled. These kids these days, they have all the fun. We had to make do with a stick and a piece of string. It's largely why I'm very happy my kids are doing it, because they're doing what we used to do.
Are they particularly cold tonight? What is the coldest camp you've ever been on?
Oh, the coldest camp wasn't a cub camp, wasn't a scout camp. It was actually as an adult. We went camping in May with our family and our child, little Thomas. It was a little baby, and it was May and it had been reasonably warm, and we went camping up near Richmond, and it was freezing. And the next morning we got out of the tent and there was like frosty ice on the ground, and we went home.
How many nights have you slept under canvas?
Oh man, don't know. Loads. We had woggles that changed colour depending on how many nights camp you'd done with the Scouts, and I think I was up to 30, 40 something, because I'd done a few weeks, and that must have been 5 or 6, and if you times that by a few, that's got to be like... And then as an adult, we go camping as a family. We spent 2 weeks near London, 2 weeks near Wiltshire. We did a couple of weeks in Cornwall. So I mean, that all adds up on weekends, and we really like camping.
What is your young children's favourite camp and why?
It's an easy question to answer because my eldest child went on a camp last year to London, where she had an amazing time. She went to Houses of Parliament, she went on the London Eye, she went to Buckingham Palace, she went to London Zoo, she went to see a show, she did hundreds of things. I have no idea how it all happened, but she had a fantastic time. And she came back actually a different person. She was like a grown-up, and she's like a London snob now. Now if you say, oh, we went to, we did this thing, it was great, she says, oh, they've got one of them in London. It's much better.
What one do you call it? Necker, necky or neckerchief?
Necker.
If you were stuck on a desert island, what 5 things would you bring?
Oh, 5 things. A really good radio. I would want something to make fire with, so I could cook food. I'd want something to chop stuff with, so some kind of good knife. I'd probably want a big ball of decent ropey string to tie stuff with, and a good tarpaulin to, because it's going to rain, isn't it, even on a desert island.
How should you make Scouting appeal to young people?
I think Scouting does appeal to young people. I think, you know, particularly when we were kids, Scouting, I think, was going through a bit of a rough patch, and there was lots of, oh, numbers are falling, but I think at the moment, as I understand it, Scouting is going through a bit of a growth phase. Certainly I would say it's a good idea to go back to the core basics of what Scouting's all about. I think sometimes adults try and, I remember when we were kids, sometimes people would say, oh, you don't want to go on a camp and get muddy and be in a tent and be cold. Let's all go and stay in a bed and breakfast. That'll be really cool. And you think, that's not really what this is all about. So I think, you know, the basics, kids actually want to cook sausages and accidentally cut themselves and be allowed to do risky things and fall out of trees and all that stuff.
What do your young people get from Scouting?
So I think a big part of what they get is confidence. They are hanging around in groups of friends and trying to solve problems and do things together in a way that they otherwise, you know, a lot of the time there's a grown-up there, there's a teacher with the answer, there's somebody telling you what you need to do. But I think one of the great things about Scouting is it often says, you know, go and do this thing. How's it going? Did you manage it? No, you didn't, but you had a laugh. Try again next time. And I think that really helps them, you know, they're growing, developing, making friends, getting good at life. Generally, really.
What is a favourite camp you've been on?
I think my ultimate favourite camp, we went to Walesby. I was probably about, I think it was my first big summer camp. I was probably about, whatever age you start Scout, was 10 or 11. It was the first time being away from home for a chunk of time. We did loads of cool stuff. There were some, the kids I was there with, there were some really cool people. There were some really good friends that I was making for the first time. It was just a really good camp.
What skills do you still use from Scouting?
What skills? What skills? Oh, loads. There's a whole side of Scouting that you don't immediately think of in terms of the kind of social aspects and talking to people, and we need to work together and do this, but one of the guys is really annoying, and how are we going to work that through? And certainly, because we do a lot of camping as a family, I still do, you know, putting up tents, cooking. Yeah, our grown-ups cook every day. And then around Christmas time, we found lots of knots to be tied, hanging up the decorations, chopping the bottom off the tree, and getting it all right.
What's your favourite Scouting activity and why?
I really like wide games, though they never work. I don't know if anyone out there has ever been in a wide game that really worked, but my experience of a wide game when I was a kid was all gather in a circle, and we'll tell you all these rules, and you all run off in the dark, and then after like 10 minutes, you're all being rounded up and told it's time to come in, and you're thinking, what happened there? Who won? Did anything happen? I don't really know what happened, but I just loved it. I loved running around in the dark and trying to hide and not really being sure what was happening. I really like climbing. I hate heights. I get all scared and shaky, but I really like it and hate it and like it and hate it. Probably because I hate it, I like it.
If you could visit anywhere in the world, where would you go?
Oh, anywhere in the world. Everywhere. I very much like visiting historic places. We visit a lot of castles and things here in the UK, so I'd like to go somewhere historic. Probably somewhere like, that place in Cambodia, Angkor Wat in Cambodia. There's an amazing temple in the jungle. Machu Picchu. And pyramids is a bit of a classic, I think, but everyone wants to go to the pyramids, surely. Oh, and on Malta, there are some underground caves that are really, really old that they think might be the origin of the whole Minotaur in the cave story thing. and I'd quite like to go there.
Did you used to camp in those ugly green patrol tents?
Yes. I loved those ugly green patrol tents. I thought it was so sad when we got these, like, nice, clean, straight, waterproof.
What is your favourite camp food and why is it eggy bread?
Why isn't it eggy bread? Oh, I do like eggy bread, but I'm particularly fond of sausages that have been cooked and then chucked in beans, and then the beans have been cooked and it's all meaty, beany goodness. Yeah, and now that I'm a grown-up, I also like mushrooms.
How many marshmallows can you fit in your mouth?
Depends on the marshmallows. Can I provide my own marshmallows? Because I got some very small ones, 2 for counting.
That's fine. 1, 2.